Just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, just a moment. Very quick one, and soon you will know, at least you will be able to say that you almost know everything that is known about iNav 2.6. Just a second, please. Okay, countdown. 3, 2, 1, and ta-da! So the question number one is, how do you like my new opening screen with the music? I think it's pretty, well, let's say more mature. And second of all, this stream is absolutely unscheduled. This is my 100% improvisation. I even forgot to get my glasses, put on my glasses, because mainly I really wanted to show you what will be happening with the iNav 2.6, and when will iNav 2.6 happen? This is not really yet definitely written in stone anywhere. I also just today released the second unofficial alpha for the iNav 2.6, 100% unofficial, just compiled by me, published on my repo. And if you would like to try the 2.6, then I will in a second send you the correct link to the file. We'll be using the release on the GitHub, and today we will be using the file from this release. But also I'm kinda would like to test my new microphone before tomorrow's official Saturday stream, because this is pretty cool thing, and I'm really like hoping that the audio quality will be super amazing. So how's the audio quality from my new microphone? And please say it's awesome. Anyhow, so the iNav 2.6. The current situation with the iNav 2.6 is that it's slightly delayed, and the main reason for the delay of the 2.6 is because the implementation of the H7 series of the CPUs is kinda, well, yeah, we really wish it would be over there like months ago. However, it isn't, and it's not really progressing very well. On the other hand, there is not really that much on the H7 flight controllers, H7 flight controllers out there. So even if we will not release it on time, there's nothing wrong will happen. So it is actually possible, not defined, that at least the release candidate for iNav 2.6 will be released without the H7s. But besides that, I think all the major features are there, and today we will take a quick look on probably the most important set of those. And yeah, I will try to answer all the questions that there is. Please bear in mind that today's chat will not last 2 hours, let's say an hour or something, so I will really try to end around 8:30, maybe 9. So okay, let's go in that case. Let's go to the information where you can get the iNav 2.6. Like I said, I compiled the unofficial release, which is right now 2.6.0 Alpha 2, and the link to this is in my private iNav fork of the repository. I'm not drinking vodka this time. It's just a water. I decided that I have to stop drink and stream, because this is like pato stream, right? Anyhow, all the files, all the hex files for all the targets is in the release. You cannot flash it directly from the configurator, because the configurator only points to the official release, and like I said, this is 100% unofficial. And you also will need the also unofficial and also built by me, but I'm usually building the firmware, so this is 100% fine. Releases of the iNav Configurator 2.6 for Windows and Linux. There is no 2.6 configurator for the Mac OS. It will happen for the official and final releases, because to be able to build a Mac OS, you have to have the Mac. I in theory have it, but then there is a problem of signing and so on and so on and so on, and still the the majority of you uses Windows, and so this is not the biggest issue really. I also took some time and went through all the most important features and changes for the iNav 2.6, and they are just links to the tickets in the iNav repository itself. Okay, here the link seems to be broken, but this is really a minor stuff. So, but we will not go probably into all the changes. So how to flash? You have to download the file itself by yourself. I will be configuring everything using the Matek F722. So let me download the Matek F722 hex to my local file. I already pre-downloaded the configurator from the link. So just go to the firmware flasher and first, and please do it all the time. When changing the releases, always try to use the full chip erase, because this is probably... Oh, and we have Alberto. Alberto, amazing, amazing, mate. You will build the configurator for Mac. Please send it to me because this is my private repository, and I have those files in my Google Drive, by the way. So when flashing, try to use the full chip erase. Also, when you will flash the iNav 2.6 and you have the magnetometer, you cannot really migrate the calibration for the magnetometer, because for the iNav 2.6 we changed the way how this thing is calibrated, and right now we are not only calibrating for gain, but we are also calibrating, we are not only calibrating for 0, but also for gain. Okay, never mind. Previously it was only one of those. Right now we are calibrating both gain and the 0. So this is how it is. Click load firmware. So please load local and then just hit flash, and in a few seconds it should be flashed. So let's just give it a moment. And we are waiting, and we are waiting, and I really do hope that the audio quality from my new microphone is just amazing, and you're just getting a goosebumps from the deep and low voice my throat is right now producing. Okay, that sentence probably sounded at least slightly strange. Okay, flashing. If you don't mind, I will have some of the legumina for supper. And okay, so we are flashed, so let's connect. First of all, like always, there will be a dialog about the default values. Today I will be rather showing you the features for the mini quads. So let's just try to apply mini quads with 3 to 7 propellers, because this is probably the best way to do it. If you want to use it on airplane or rover or boat, just use any of the other settings. And really my suggestion is not to use custom defaults or keep current settings. So just keep it, and after a restart. And we have a question from Antiblock: is there a way to connect a mission planner for iNav? Yes, there are at least a few mission planners that are compatible with the MSP protocol and MultiWii. First of all, the iNav configurator itself has the mission planner capability, so you can use it over there. And also the MWP tools made by Stronach is a kind of good option. And probably also some other tools. I'm, however, not really using those kind of features, so we will not go really that route. So now, when we were in the calibration of the magnetometer, then yeah, calibration. Calibration has to be done. I have the Mac configured by default. And first of all, you can see that now we have 0 and we have gain. When I will run the calibration, I'm just waving the board left and right, without really hoping to calibrate it in the correct way. So, okay, 20 seconds. We don't really care about this. So let's leave it over there. Gregory Kornienko, it's not really me about the Crossfire link quality. It was all thanks to the Optimus TI. Thanks, mate, for really putting a lot of effort into that process. And RC, no, updating old Omnibus F3 rather makes no sense, because I even think that the Omnibus F3 is no longer supported with iNav 2.6. Let me quickly check the Omnibus F3. So no Omnibus. Omnibus F3 is dead in iNav right now. There is just not enough RAM and flash and everything to be able to run it. So 2.5 is probably the last release. And of course we have calibrated compass, and you can see we have both zeros and gains for the magnetometer. So let's just save and reboot. And now there are some changes in the mixer, because if you are using the iNav on the quadcopter, you probably always suffered because you were not able to easily map the outputs, and there was always this problem of how to, for example, make the motor in the rear right position number 4, not number 3. I know that a lot of people think that this is required for the you have to have the resource mapping for this thing. This is absolutely not true. You can just use the mixer to put any motor you want anywhere. By the way, also Betaflight 4.3 has very similar feature in the configurator. However, the one in the iNav is kinda much simpler. And how to do it? You just go to the mixer wizard, remove propellers, connect LiPos, use output tab to spin each of the motors, and then just you have to fill the table telling which motor is in which position. So I'm just like putting numbers without paying attention, and click apply, and then the wizard will just populate the mixer in the correct order, and your quadcopter will be fully stable in flight. Now we have the question from the Divyashu Harkra, sorry for butchering your name, about the bidirectional dishant coming. No, and there is a pretty good reason that the bidirectional dishant is not coming, because with iNav 2.6 the RPM filters are no longer recommended. We have something better, and it's called, say with me, K to the L, K to the A to the L to the M to the A to the N. Okay, Kalman filter. Kalman filter is coming, although it will be called the Unicode filter, but we will go there in a minute or two. So save and reboot. And let's see what else will be there. Okay, outputs. In the outputs tab, not so many changes, besides the fact that right now the one-shot 125 is the default protocol. So if you really have some super old ESC with like no support for one-shot 125, but this really has to be at least 5 years old ESC, then you will have to switch to something else, and this probably applies only to the like fixed wingers. You can basically leave it on the default protocol. However, we do suggest of switching this to at least multi-shot or D-shot 300. And I think it's time to get rid of D-shot 1200. It really sucks to do it. And no really any major updates about the output stuff. Okay, one more thing about the mixer tab. We also finally fixed the issue that was over here with the servos. If previously the servos were not correctly ordered, and for example you had something like 0101, then the table displayed over here for the assignment of the servos was absolutely wrong, and it was really giving you the crappy results. So right now at least this is fixed, but please do remember that the servos has to be indexed without any gaps. So if you start from 0, there has to be servo number 0, number 1, number 3, number 2, number 3, and so on and so on and so on. You cannot have servo 0 and then servo 5, because then the output mapping on the firmware itself will go bonkers. Oh, quick flash. Hello, mate. Nice to see you. And the quick flash asks what happened with my special filter that I were testing a few months back. If you are referring to the matrix filter, then it's there. If you're referring to the Kalman, it's there. I do not remember any super special filter besides those two, but maybe okay, never mind. And then presets. Perhaps there were some changes to the presets I do not really remember. But currently my personal preference is to kinda ignore the presets themselves. The defaults should be good enough to really give a pretty nice flight performance without using any of those presets, so this is fine. Ports. Any changes on ports? Not really. Pretty standard stuff. Besides the smart port master, this is something that was implemented mainly for the FreeSky and by the FreeSky actually. And thanks to the smart port master, the iNav can poll smart port sensors that FreeSky is selling. So if you're really like using FreeSky sensors, you can right now use it as the hub for all the sensors connected to the FreeSky bus. And I'm getting some messages. Okay, never mind. Divanshu Hakra asks if iNav 2.6 will get a separate preset for 2-inch micro quads. No, rather not. But really, the problem with the presets, the presets are pretty simple to build. If someone has a setting that kind of works on the 2 inches, and you will send the diff from the CLI to me, I can build the preset. But I kind of need something like a base settings for the preset to be able to do it. So you know how it is. Yes, Alberto from Master. So Alberto said that he built the configurator. Let me open. Okay, by the way, I will have to download this thing. So save file as. Anyhow, I will update the release with the macOS firmware, but not right now. No agenda FPV. Hello, mate. And anything else on the ports? No. Configuration. Configuration is less and less important with every release. And this time I don't think there were really any important changes over here, because basically we changed almost nothing. Failsafe, also no changes on the failsafe. Pit tuning. For the pit tuning we will leave it really for the last set of super amazing changes. Wings UK, hello mate, nice to see you. You are the regular watcher, the participant of those streams. Amazing. PID tuning, like I said, we will talk about the PID tuning slightly later. Advanced tuning has some new stuff because why cannot. Oh, sorry. After all, I have the old version of the advanced tuning tab. This is my bad. You will also get in the advanced tuning the setting for the auto launch. It will just be a new section over here with the possibility to configure the auto launch and some extra changes, because, for example, right now the airplane preset default will say that land after return to H, return to home only after the failsafe. Some say that this is a good option, some say this is the bad option, but this is an option. And I think the Mr. Darren was the one that made the change to the preset. Am I correct, Darren? You were the lucky developer that did that? I think so, but I really do not remember. And there also should be, yeah, I really have the old version of this stuff. The file you can download with the release, by the way, has the updated for sure. Programming. Oh, programming tab. Programming is becoming more and more important in iNav. In the next few weeks, I will release at least a few very interesting videos about what you can do with the programming framework, like, for example, tracked vehicles or changing the VTX power on the switch and all those goodies. And, I just remember something. Look what I have. Look what I have. This is a teaser what we will be discussing in the tomorrow's chat. I have the TBS Tracer and I have the Immersion RC Ghost and I have the FRM 302. That means I have all the three current 2.4 gigahertz new generation radio modules based on the Semtech chips. Although TBS says that it doesn't say that it's Semtech, I allowed myself to really like check if this is Semtech, and it really looks like Semtech, so it will be Semtech, but this will be on the tomorrow's chat. Let's go back to the programming. First of all, there are now in iNav 2.68 not 4 global variables, so you have more options of storing values and moving them left to right. Also, I decided, never mind who decided, to unify the logic conditions and the global functions in the single entity. Because at one point I discovered that the global function is the logic condition with only one operand. And since I wanted to add the second operand, it really made no sense to keep them really separated, so I just combined both of them, and this is why right now there is no global functions section. And also right now the iNav supports up to 32 logic conditions, and all the global variables, global functions, were actually moved as the logic conditions over here, so you can just basically choose whatever you want. And there are some, let's say, new operands, because not only all the previous global functions are right now here, we also can right now compute the sinus, compute cosinus and tangents, and if you inverse one you have also cotangents. And also there's possibility to map input and output, so you can basically, for example, map a full stick or slider deflection to values from 1 to 5. So for example, you can have the VTX power on the slider. So kind of interesting stuff. And something I always forget to make a video about. Oh, Miralem Halilovic, thank you for Bay AM. I have no idea what Bay AM is, but this is not the first time you sent me those, so thank you very much. This little board over here, it's a possibility to connect digital IOs to iNav, but I will record a super separate material about that. So, okay, mapping and global functions, variables, pretty nice stuff. Receiver tab. What's new? Yeah, okay. There is a change. First of all, there is a change. What does the serial port inverted means for the, how it's called, for the F port? Because F port should be, F port is always complicated. We changed the default behavior for the F port, and this means that I'm getting some messages and I think they are kind of important. No, this is not really that much important. So if your F port is not working, that means you have to change the inversion in the F port. But this is mentioned in the, it will be mentioned in the release notes for the iNav 2.6, so this is no problem. And the half duplex settings is right now also here in the receiver mode and allows to set auto on and off. Basically, living with auto should really give you possibility to connect to anything you want. And we also have right now the support for the F-port 2, which is a better improved and faster, better, stronger, like the Daft Punk was singing, version of the F-port. But of course you need the dedicated receivers that can talk with this F-port. And SRLX2, which is a super brand new Spectrum protocol that is used, for example, in the Ghost, Immersion RC Ghost. So this is something to remember about. Now, Roberto Bender, there is no release date for the official. However, I'm having this chat because I released the unofficial Alpha 2. and I doubt there will be many new features when we go the official, because probably the only thing that is blocking the official process for the releasing iNav is making a decision. Do we wait, or do we wait for the H7 support, or do we release iNav 2.6, at least the release candidate, without the H7 there? And yes, iNav is free. You do not have to pay to be able to use iNav. But yes, of course, you have to kind of spend some money on the hardware. But this is kind of expected. And yeah. Okay, in modes tab, I don't think there are any changes in the modes tab. Maybe for the next release, like iNav 2.6, there will be changes, because also, if I remember correctly, Mr. D Falling with Style made some changes about the ordering. This is not decided if this will be merged, but there might be changes in the future, and we will see how it goes. Adjustments. Were there any changes in adjustments? I think so, because right now I never use adjustments. This is completely different story, because right now for the adjustment you can also, at least you should be also able to adjust feed forward, but really I do have like a week or two delayed the version of the configurator. After all, there are new adjustments, at least there should be new adjustments. GPS tab, no changes. Mission control, I don't remember about any changes, and please do remember that the updated mission control in the iNav 2.6. Eric Mangus, why should I wait? Wait for what? Mate, come on, why should I wait? Anyhow, the Configurator mission control does not really support the new engine for the navigation, so this is a completely different topic. And if you want to use point of interest and heading and jump, to be honest, you should use external tools that are fully compatible with the MSP, multi-wheel implementation of the navigation engine, and the MWP tools. If you don't know what MWP tools is, then you should know that this is something super cool built by the one called Jonathan, which is also one of the devs of the iNav. And so, okay, Eric, H7 support, we don't know yet. And the change and the chances that, let's say it's 50-50. Because it's really time to release 2.6, but we still do not have the H7 working. I mean, the board boots, but that basically all, because there are problems with timers and buses and so on and so on and so on. No agenda FPV bot? What do you mean safe landing? Oh, the safe homes. No, the safe homes will be configurable only via the CLI for now. There are no plans to bring it to the user interface. OSD. In the OSD, there are some pretty cool changes that should kind of be super cool for everyone who's using the TBS Crossfire, or also probably Tracer. I have not connected my Tracer yet to any of my radios, but tomorrow I hopefully will make the standard walk with the Tracer, checking the ranges. But this is a completely different story. So you can right now... Oh, what happened over here? You can right now... where's this thing? So you can display the RSSI, link quality, uplink SNR, and the TX power in milliwatts in the OSD. And you can also set up the alarms for the SNR and the RSSI. And why there is no alarm for the link quality? Interesting. Optimus TI, please improve. And some extra settings for the Crossfire type 1, type 2. Crap, I'm not a Crossfire guy, so I will just try not to go into... Oh, Jack, nice to see you. Nice to see you, Jack. I liked I haven't watched your full live show yesterday with the Top Gear and FPV because I had to do something else. But that was really like kind of interesting. You really had a lot of viewers yesterday, so that's pretty cool. And do you know that I was in Brighton once? In 1995, I think. I was for one day in Brighton. Maybe we've met. Maybe you don't know it. Maybe I don't know it. Okay, let's strip. No, absolutely no bloody changes to the let's strip. No changes to the sensors. Tethered logging. No changes. And the black box. Black box. What changed with black box? Probably the only major change in the black box, besides fixing some of the minor bugs over there and probably adding in new sensors, is that right now the black box will not work faster than with the 1 kilohertz frequency. So when right now we have the flight controller loop time up 2 kilohertz, if the divider for the black box will be faster than 1 kilohertz, then it will just be resetted. So right now, okay, let's do it well. So right now I have 1-to-1. If I will set to 1-to-1, then means I will be trying to lock with the 2 kilohertz rate and reboot, and we will go to the black box again. Technophobia. What kind of problems with the yaw control? You do have to be slightly more specific. FPV Daddy, DJI OSD items are really 100% up to the DJI. The OSD in the DJI goggles is rendered by the goggles itself, not even the air unit but by the goggles based on the telemetry downlink. And that means that if DJI will not decide to render any iNav specific elements, there will be no any iNav specific elements over there. The only way to do it is to probably send a lot of emails to the DJI support. So please DJI, please do better iNav support, and so on and so on and so on. And as you can see, although I changed the logging rate to 1/2, 50%, it went 1-to-1, it went back to half of the pitch frequency. So that covers most of the stuff besides the PID tuning. And now let's go to the PID tuning. If you are using iNav on the fixed wing, then yeah, probably you do not really have to change anything. However, if you are using iNav on the multi-rotor, then oh man, you're into a big surprise. Because first of all, right now, multi-rotors at iNav 2.6 will have PID, which is not really a D. No, there will be a D, and this is the derivative, and the feed forward. Bear in mind, probably the naming will change in the official version of the configurator. In case of the multi-rotors, will not say feed forward, but it will say control derivative. Right now, we changed into, oh, Painless Lee. Hello, Lee. Nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you. I'm having a lot of famous people today. At least some of them are famous, and some only pretend. So the control derivative. Control derivative in iNav is the equivalent of the feed forward from Betaflight. But since the feed forward in Betaflight is something completely different than the feed forward in iNav for the fixed wings, we decided that we will not just call it feed forward for multi-rotors, because then it's not really a feed forward. This is something that Betaflight kinda did. In case of the Betaflight, feed forward is really the control derivative. So there is a derivative computed from the set point, and this is how it goes. However, the scaling is exactly the same as in the Betaflight. So if you have nice feed forward gains from the Betaflight, you can just copy them. And that also means that right now the derivative is always computed only from the gyro, never from the set points. And this also means that the term set point weight is removed, And question from Roberto Bender, automatic VTX power adjustments. No, I don't think this was merged, but I cannot really confirm. Yes, FPV Daddy crossfire link quality will be in iNav 2.6, definitely. But let's go back to the PID tuning. So here, almost what you know from the past releases. However, multi-rotors right now have feed-forward implemented, running and improved. Oh, something I just remember right now, also the OSD settings for the PID tuning in the iNav 2.6 is improved, so that it also shows the filters and correctly shows feed-forward and the control derivatives and so on and so on. Rates and expo. Basically no changes in rates in expo, but the filters are... yeah, the filters changed. First of all, we dropped one of the static notch filters because they are like 2020, 2017 maybe 2018. They are so irritating to set up and not effective that if you really want to use some of them, there is one that can do it, but please don't try to use them really. This is why by default they are even removed from the user interface. If you really want to set them, you can use CLI, but not in the filters section. There are of course the filters we had before, like the accelerometer LPF and your control, your LPF, and the gyro filters. However, right now, gyro RPM filters. However, right now we say that no, do not use the RPM filtering in the latest iNav. There is something better. So by default it's off. We do not support the bidirectional D-shot. You have to have the ESC telemetry configured and enabled to have the RPM filters running. However, by default on the multi-rotors we enable the matrix gyro filter known previously from the iNav 2.5, I think. Yeah, iNav 2.5, that makes the improved filtering with the dynamic notches based on all the axes, not only the one of the axes, which kinda gives slightly better rejection than the standard single notch. But we have something called a unicorn filter. And what's the unicorn filter? It's just the Kalman known previously from the Emo flight and before that from the race flight and the butterfly, and yeah, right now we like Emo flight very much, so we just decided to borrow this thing. This thing, by the way, I started porting and playing with this somewhere around the March of this year, and I'm flying with this technology for quite a while. Really works pretty nicely and really gives amazing results in its flight, even without the gyro RPM filters. However, we kind of modified the scaling of the filter comparing to the Emu flight. If I remember correctly, quick flash, maybe you can remind me, the default scale was 3000 for the Kalman filter in Emu flight, right? I think something like that, but 3000 is kind of strange value for the default, so I just changed the scaling and we start with 200. However, the multi-rotor settings boosts this to 200, which gives the equivalent of approximately 6000 in case of the Emu flight. Yeah, something like that. There are some changes in scaling, but this will be kind of explained in details in the separate video. And the recommendation is to use both, leave the both gyro and the unicorn, matrix filter and the unicorn filter on, and this really flies great. Super. And the stage 2, no changes at all. The change in case, mechanics, there are 2 changes. We also got rid of the item relax type set point because you do not really relax, no, or gyro. No, we got rid of the gyro version. Now, right now, you do not set the method of the type of the computing, the item relax. You only assume it works, and that's all what you really have to do. So default values for the multi-rotors, roll and pitch with the cutoff frequency are great for 5 inches. For the lower quads, it might be slightly lowered, but there is no longer a possibility to choose between the types like the set point and gyro. And like you can see, there is no set point weight, probably something else I will have to remove from the user interface. And we also have a new air mode handling type. This new air mode handling type called the stick center ones is probably something that will make all the iNav fixed wing pilots very happy. Because what the problem with the stick center was, the air mode was basically disabled with the stick center. No, it was, I forgot how it was. Damn. So the throttle was, it was disabled when the throttle was low with the stick center method. And this meant that when you were going back to landing with the sticks in the center and the throttle low, the model was just disabling air mode, resetting the I term on the PID controller, and as the result during the landing it was not able to keep the nose up. It was very hard to flare. It was basically doing something like that. Right now, cześć. Pa. Right now with the stick center once, what happens is that after you boost the throttle once, the throttle is no longer responsible for driving the how it's called, the air mode, and during landing the eye gains will not turn off when you have throttle low and the sticks in the center. Yes, that's the correct way to do it. Okay, and yes, if you have not clicked the thumbs up on this video, please do so. I would really appreciate that. And now I think all the changes in the configurator are here, so we can probably close the configurator itself and go to the iNav repository to have some extra information based on the list of the most important changes. So like I mentioned, the SRXL2 RX protocol, very fast with limited telemetry, and the people who use Spectrum, who uses Spectrum nowadays? Really, who uses Spectrum? Probably some dudes from the United States, because here in Europe Spectrum never was really super popular. However, maybe someone. Oh yes, Darren, I do like my new microphone very much. It's the best microphone I ever owned. But no, really, I'm pretty happy with this. Do you know, by coincidence, I had no idea. I got exactly the same microphone like Bardwell has. It was a tough choice between this one when I was choosing and the microphone that TBS Lounge is using, but then I decided that the microphone that TBS Lounge and the Trappy is using, it's, well, let's say, it's too vulgar with the LED lighting and stuff like that. So no, I just went with Rode, because probably all of my audio equipment is Rode, so I just went with Rode, and it's amazing. Anyhow, so what we already had on the list: compass calibration. Oh, this is something I completely forgot to tell you about. There are right now changes in the multi-rotor autonomous flights with the iNav 2.6, and this is pretty interesting change for anyone who uses to likes missions and the how it's called, return to home, and was always not very happy that, let's say, it's jumpy. Well, instead of just going forward, it's accelerating, decelerating, super shaky. And PS after hours. On my second channel, I have at least a few videos that kind of shows how this thing is working now. You see, on my second channel, I have 451 subscribers. Super cool. So where's the video that shows that? Not this one, not this one. Oh, this one. Okay, this should show us pretty nicely how it's working right now. It's maybe not yet perfect, but much better than with iNav 2.5. Okay, Mr. YouTube. And Mr. YouTube decided to stop. Oh, now it's going. Okay, yeah, okay. Being stationary changed nothing, but now once we started to accelerate, the flight should be smooth again. If you look at any DVR before that, you will notice that it's going, then it's jumping down, jumping up, and this really looks pretty nice. Not as smooth as manual flight, but for the autonomous mode, comparing to how it was behaving before with iNav 2.5, it's really a nice improvement. The trick was to attenuate the position controller degains once in flight. So once it's traveling with the speed that it is required to travel with, then the degains are basically attenuated almost to zero. Once you release the sticks and the actual speed is not matching the target speed put with the sticks, then it will start to use the degains again to really nicely hold position. But since in flight it's not required, then well, it's working like how it's working. And yes, no agenda FPV. Yes, I was thinking about recording my own voice pack for the OpenTX for some time now. Yes, that was one. I was thinking about this. Definitely, one day I will definitely do it. And also something I learned before tomorrow's stream. Right now I'm doing downscaling from 4K to HD, and I think my laptop is kinda too small. Not too small, it's kinda too slow. But hopefully. Okay, let's go to the other features because there is nothing interesting over here. What else? So control derivative, gyro notch, gyro Kalman, we covered that. Safe homes. Oh, safe homes. What are safe homes? I think I mentioned what are safe homes at least once or twice in one of the chats, and basically it's the possibility for iNav to land not where you took off, not where you armed and started, but where you think that it will be safer. There is a documentation in the docs folder in the iNav repository that pretty much describes everything that what has to be described, and it's called Safe Homes. What you do? Oh, this is my picture. I drew this airplane, by the way, and it's beautiful, the most beautiful airplane ever. What you basically do, you save as the configuration a list of places as the latitude, longitude. You can copy the latitude, longitude, for example, from the mission planner. You just copy paste and it should be fine. And thanks to this, when you arm for the first time, the iNav will try to locate the nearest safe home, not further away than at least, I think 200 meters. Yes, 200 meters, and that means you are close to the safe home. So when you'll be landing with return to home, it will not land when you're armed, but it will land on the safe home. Thanks to this, for example, you can take off with your airplane close to the trees, obstacles, forest, or whatever, knowing that 100 meters, for example, in the direction of the meadow, there is a much better place to land. And when it will land, it will just land over there and everything will be fantastic. Or, for example, when you want to take off from your balcony, but you do not want the quad to land in the balcony, because landing in the balcony probably will fail. And that means that safe homes can be used in this case. Next, global functions. We covered that. I/O expander. Yeah, I designed a simple I/O expander for iNav based on the PCF. I never remember. Oh yeah, here it is. Based on the PCF 8574 and the ULN 2803 simple Darlington transit driver, which basically allows you to connect lights and other simple electric devices to the iNav itself via the I2C and program this thing with the logic conditions and the programming framework. So you can have landing lights, some kinds of blinking lights, I don't know, the servo, the landing gear extraction, or some kind of the fan of the motor. You just power this thing. Bear in mind that this is using it's pulling to the ground, but you probably powering the VTXs and cameras from this is not really the best option, but it really offers something. The PCB design is public over here in the package, so you can just take it. And I also think that there should be linked for ordering via OSH Park. But if you want to order from somewhere else, then you are free to do it. All the KiCad files are in the repository. Question from the Slick Shot: what are the pros and cons switching to iNav from Betaflight? You get more. You get more in general, but some of the things are, let's say, require you some extra steps. If you want to use something on the airplanes, that's definitely not Betaflight, and iNav is just better. If you, however, would like to use GPS on the multi-rotors, then I know that many people say that GPS rescue is fully enough, but this is really like controlled crash. And also, to be honest, the iNav can do acro now. Yes, iNav can do acro. And not worse, it's not much worse than the Betaflight, and some people even say that it's better. Also, some people say, and more than one, and I'm not directly connected with them, that the default values on the iNav are more suited than Betaflight for example, 7 inches. On the 5 inches Racer Freestyler, yes, probably the defaults on the Betaflight are better. However, in case of the 7 inches and slightly different default tune on the iNav, it really flies better. Fraser Steen, more complicated and requires more tuning. Yes, it's slightly more complicated. There are some steps that can be omitted in case of the Betaflight that are mandatory in case for the iNav, but not really. It does not require more tuning. The tuning of iNav and Betaflight currently is basically exactly the same. There are different methods, different maybe ways to do it, but in majority of the cases it really requires basically zero tuning and just flies great from the beginning. As well as the Emu Flight, by the way. This thing also flies great and also has the Kalman. What else? This changed. Okay. Logic conditions, air mode handling on the airplanes. Okay, and anything else? Oh, something for the people that previously were building iNav at home. With the iNav 2.6, the way of building at home slightly changes because thank you very much, Alberto. Alberto did a tremendous job of migrating Make to CMake. So now it's better because it's CMake. I don't get what's better, but everybody says that it's better. That means that there are some requirements towards the your building environment. In most of the cases, it should be almost seamless transition, and everything is described in the documentation for the development environment. So if we go to the code and go to the docs and go to the development, then building in Linux, and everything about the CMake is really explained, what you have to do, what you have to install. Unfortunately, the Windows 10 Linux subsystem something like a problem because for unknown reason Windows, well, because it's Windows, so it tries to inject the Windows path to the Linux environment, and this kind of breaks the CMake. But there are at least two fixes how to fix it, and if you are getting an error that the syntax error unexpected something error 2, then there is option 1, option 2, on option 3, and they all work. Andrew Newton, Sir Andrew Newton is with us. Nice to see you, mate. And yeah, what else? Do we have anything more to cover? How do you think? Now probably it's time for you to start asking questions. No agenda FPV, yes, iNav disables the servos during the CMS configuration, and this is kinda the feature. I think it was implemented in iNav 2.5, and it's not a bug. It was supposed to work like that, because some people never like that the servers are moving when you are in the CMS. So I don't really remember who, but someone made the change, and personally, I think it's a good change. However, the option to have it configurable probably also makes sense. This will rather not go in. It will rather not go into iNav 2.6 because honestly, we have enough of the changes for iNav 2.6. Quick Flash asks if the turtle mode ever going to be added. There are entities that implemented turtle mode in iNav, but they are commercial institutions that decided not to give back to the community. I know who you are, by the way. I will not point fingers because I kinda even slightly assisted in the process. So the process of the air mode, there are two aspects over there. First of all, turtle mode is not only about the turtle mode, it's also about the dshot commands. iNav currently does not have the dshot commands, so this is prerequisite for implementing the turtle mode. On the second hand, and the second aspect is that turtle mode works great when you are flying over a short grass or some kind of the flat surface. I personally think that majority of the cases is when you fly long range, you over unknown territory, you really do not care that much about the turtle mode, because when you crash, you're crashed, and that's end of your journey, that's end of your flight, and you have to manually recover. However, I cannot, probably nobody really is working in the open way on it, so I cannot really promise you anything. Zvonimir Trkojevich would like to know how can he adjust the VTX power on the switch. Yes, if you were my Patreon, you would know this even today, because today I made the video public for my Patreons that explains step by step how to do it. I can only suggest that you wait a week or two before I will make the video public for everyone. This is one of the perks my Patreon patrons have. They have usually the early access to some of the videos. Not all, but they sometimes have. Let me then scroll. Maybe we can find something interesting. Do we have something interesting? Oh, so unfortunately, I have not met Brighton Till I Fly, aka Jack Nash, when I was in Brighton in 1995. That was really a long bloody time ago. Lucas S asks if there will be any improvements for the Horizon Drift in iNav 2.6. Yes and no. No changes for the airplanes, and there is this quite popular way of. I wish that Mark Hoffman was with us today. Mark, if you are there, please turn Lucas as how to improve your Horizon Drift. However, for the iNav 2.6 and the multi-rotors, there was an improvement that might help slightly with the Horizon Drift on the multi-rotors. I have not really very much tested this thoroughly, but should kinda slightly help. Okay. Oh, this is interesting question from Mohammad Otaibi. How iNav create money to give to the developers? It doesn't. iNav as an entity is not paying developers. Because nobody pays iNav any money, and iNav is not making any money. The only incentive is that there is an affiliate program, and there is a fully random script running in the background, so that anytime you click anywhere in the, for example, when you go to the iNav release notes, and we try to just put the link to some of the affiliates, releases. I wanted to go to releases. If you go to the releases, there is usually a list of some of the hardware we would like you to at least click. But not here. Not here. Where is it? Oh, for example, support us on Banggood. Okay, so this is a randomized link that just points to one of the affiliate programs run by the developers independently, and that's all. And like No Agenda FPV says, yes, some people, like for example, support me on the Patreon, or for example, some people support the Konstantin, which is the maintainer of the project on Patreon. And we thank you very much, all the good people that allow us to make our hobby a reality, and at least help slightly with the development of the firmware. Have a nice weekend, No Agenda FPV. Sergey Chrobachenko, Ardocopter, Arduplane can use RTK. When iNav will be able to do something like this? I cannot answer this question. Currently, iNav uses the alpha beta filter for the attitude estimation. Kalman filter is not the silver bullet. It's not the answer to all the questions you ever had, but you were afraid to ask. And Kalman filter will not really solve every single problem. And some ways it's better, some ways it's worse. I don't think we should really discuss it. And I also, I think, by the way, answered the question from the Quick Flash. Yeah. So we really have no idea if we will ever add the Kalman. Oh, by the way, quick flash, you asked the question of what happened with the magical filtering that Konstantin was playing this year. Yes, he was playing. Unfortunately, the current there is a problem that those magical filters are extremely CPU consuming, and they really like use a shitload of processing power, and it's just impossible to have them running and all the other functions and the stable pit loop even on the H743. For that to make happen, we really would have to have the two core CPUs. So at least H745 or H750, I don't remember, but you need two core. Then one core would be running only the filtering, the second would be running everything else. But it also means that you would need probably some kind of the real-time operating system, and this is like getting more and more and more and more and more and more complicated with every requirement. And please do remember that we do have lives. Yes, we do have families, we do have children, and we all do have a daytime job. So it's not that simple. Okay, gents, I think the hour that I had reserved for this kind of really improvised, no, definitely improvised live stream is slightly running over. So thank you very much for the participation and the interest you have in the upcoming iNav release. Like I said, if you want to get yourself the taste of how iNav will look like in the 2.6 version, even before us releasing this as the official release, I'm posting for one more time the link to the release on my private repository, but this is built from what was available from the beginning. I will also put the same link in the description of this live stream, and we will be slowly waiting. Oh, Cyclop has a question. What's a good budget flight controller? Let me answer with the visual aid, because I do have this fantastic web page called the FPV shopping list, and then there you can find a lot of recommendations of the flight controllers from my side, for separately for airplanes. Ta-da! You see, amazing stuff, and separately for the drones and and I'm pretty sure you will be able to choose something that you really like over there. And yes, so I will update the link to the release inside of the description if anybody watches this so lately. And we see each other tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Saturday 7th. Yes, that will be 7th of November 2020, when we're gonna have, I will have the pleasure of having you one more time, this time on the usual FPV live stream, when I will be answering a lot of questions, and we definitely will be discussing, no, I have a new desk and a lot of drawers right now, and I never remember what's in which drawer yet. We will be discussing the TBS tracer, because look what the DHL courier brought in. I have a tracer. I even opened the tracer and I played a little with the magnifying glass to check what's really inside of the tracer. And there are some interesting discoveries. I read the documentation for some of the chipsets, and somebody is lying. Somebody is not telling us the full truth. Anyhow, thank you very much for watching. So let's... Oh, TechnoSanat, iNav 2.6. Yes, the board will be supported in iNav 2.6. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next one. Bye-bye.